here we are. It is Saturday the 19th of January. Last night we had a load of snow. Happily, whilst it seemed like a lot of snow, it did only create a very thin layer on the ground. Last night the temperature fell to -2, and I'm on my way to Dunfermline Motorcycle Centre to get a new chain and sprockets fitted. And this has been booked for a week, so I was getting a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to take the bike across. In fact, all this morning I've been sitting watching the weather outside, and I was on the point of phoning them to say, look, I'm really sorry, I really can't come across because the road outside my house was completely white, and there was basically no way I was going to risk taking the bike out. Even if I could get to a main road, there was no guarantee that the weather conditions would be suitable for the bike. And then just in the last kind of hour, all of a sudden it started to behave itself. However, I am riding extraordinarily carefully because honestly the good old microclimate things that the police roadcraft books refer to, so shady areas under trees or whatever, and I just have to be super careful about them. The changing line and the bike's on ice, so today is a good day to be super careful, super long distance planning, and of course super legal. You couldn't really justify speeding on a day like this. Although the temperature has risen and the snow has largely buggered off, there are still other hazards, and one of the main hazards I'm concerned about, apart from microclimates, is grit or excessive gritting. And my route will take me on a B road, just because I'm going to go swing by biking mates on the way, and that road is notorious because it gets so much grit thrown on it. It gets then pushed into separate lines in the centre of each carriageway, and they are actually huge. They're like, I say huge, they're 2 or 3 inches high, and I for one don't really fancy changing line on the bike, trying to cross over a huge big hump of loose grit, gravel and shite. So it's going to require, shall we say, restraint and careful riding. So I'm adopting slightly different road positions based upon where I think the road is most likely to be clear, and also to try and reduce the amount of line changes, since every time I change line I'm likely to go over an area where the grit hasn't been cleared by car tyres. And of course every line change introduces the risk of a skid. Every direction or speed change is a skid risk. So it doesn't make sense on a day like this to push it. Anyway, it is rather nice to be riding the bike in daylight. Long may that continue. Those clouds up there would be so good as to keep the hell away from us. My biggest fear is I get to the shop okay, and we get the work done, and then I'm faced with snow on the way home. However, if I don't get the work done, I think the chain and sprockets are, I think I've let the I shouldn't be using the bike for anything other than what I'm doing today, which is to take it to a shop to get them done. See all that diesel back there? There, fuck off. Okay, it's up to you. Aye, I know where I'm going. Okay. If I'm on a bike, I might as well be at the front of the queue. See you later. Well, here we are in Dunfermline. I've just got a new chain and sprockets fitted, and already I'm delighted to say that the wee clattery noise on pulling away has disappeared. So I had a chat with Paul the mechanic, and chain and sprockets were, in his subtle words, completely fucked. So weather's taken a slight turn for the worst. Certainly hoping I get home before any of this snow starts to settle. Just left my mate. He's gave me a run back down to the shop after heading back to his for a cup of tea. So I've left him in the traffic queue, and he's basically laughing at me for trying this. However, needs must, and I didn't mind as long as the roads stay clearish. Funny, 8 months, 9 months of commuting in all weathers, and confidence levels are pretty high. I'm not going to be stupid, but I do feel that if I can drive in some of the horrendous wet conditions that we've had, that a wee bit of snow, as long as it's not lying, shouldn't be a big issue. Well, let's see if I'm right. Watch these speed bumps here. Not hellish easy to see. I think it would give a hell of a kick if I actually managed to hit one without slowing down. It's the first time I think I've had to wipe snow off my visor. Beggar. So, not drastic yet, but you can see there's a decent covering beginning to form. I wouldn't like to drive on that pavement. So it's just going to be, still taking it easy, not doing anything particularly stupid. Arguably, if it's safe to drive a car, and I mean safe as opposed to a little bit dodgy, then it should be safe to ride a bike. You know, so not touching the brakes here if I can possibly avoid it. There's a red light up there, you see it reflected in the window. So gently on the back brake on the anti-skid stuff. Yep, there's the red light. Down into first. So apart from touching the back brake on the anti-skid material, actually touch the brakes there. Now, whether I'll manage to keep that going for the rest of this trip is another question. It's certainly not quite what I had anticipated when I looked at the weather forecast for today. Certainly wasn't meant to be doing this. Right, car, what you doing? Oh, I see, just fucking pull out. It's only a motorbike. Just check, yes, my headlight is on. Fair enough, if you want to drive fast in a 30, you do that.